If you are currently in LTD or you are being recruited into LTD, this episode is a warning. Not because you are a bad person and not because you did something wrong, but because you are being told things that are incomplete and misleading and overall flat out false. This episode is not emotion, it is not drama, and it is not speculation. It's about how money actually works, and it's about how taxes actually work. And overall, it's about why your upline does not get to rewrite the rules. This show is called Unplug. On this show, we free the minds of the people that have been indoctrinated and enslaved by the MLM matrix, or the multi-level marketing matrix, or the direct selling industry. In particular, we speak truth against the lies and fallacies of Amway and LTD. I'm your host, TJ Masumi. I'm going to say this very clearly so nobody out there can twist my words. If LTD events were truly nothing more than a pure pass-through reimbursement for venue rental, where to attend an LTD event, any kind of LTD event, the admissions that you pay to attend any kind of LTD event is only used for venue costs, rental costs, to rent out the stadium, conference room, etc. Admission fees are only used for solely only just for rental cost, to rent out the space, so to speak, and there's no markup and no retained money and no income to higher ups that are a part of LTD, high level ranks that are part of LTD. Then hypothetically, if that was true, then specifically those admission fees would be tax exempt, because overall rental reimbursement is tax exempt. So, admission fees that are only used towards chipping in and renting out, a venue or a conference room for a meeting, and it's only used just to rent out a venue or a conference room, that would be tax exempt. That would be true. But that is not actually what's happening with LTD. That is not actually happening in reality in regards to LTD. In reality, the real issue is not whether people walk into a room. The real issue is that LTD events are a source of income specifically for high-level ranks that are part of LTD. Not hypothetically and not accidentally, but contractually. High-level ranks that are part of LTD receive a source of income from every LTD event. Specifically, under the LTD Business Support Materials Contract, high-level ranks that are part of LTD are allowed to earn income connected to meetings, LTD meetings, and LTD events, and overall LTD subscriptions. So I have the LTD BSM compensation contract on both my websites. I'll post those links below. But I have the LTD BSM contract on those websites. And specifically on that contract, it states that platinums and above, Amway platinums and above, that are part of LTD, they receive a source of income from every weekly LTD meeting, which is called the info session or the group peer evaluation session, And then they also earn income from the monthly team meetings, platinums and above. And then when it comes to the LTD conferences that take place 4 times a year, um, emeralds and above, Amway emeralds and above that have a minimum of 6 legs, receive income from each and every single member in the downline that buys a ticket to attend an LTD conference. And if an emerald and above does not have a minimum of 6 legs or 6 recruits signed up underneath them, then they won't receive any income from um, their downline that buys a ticket to attend a conference, and that revenue would just roll up to the upline that's above them that has 6 legs. So this is 6 leg slash 6 recruits requirement for emeralds and above to receive income from LTD conferences. And along with that, ranks that are below the Amway Emerald rank do not receive any income from conferences. And along with that, platinums and above, they receive income from each and every single member of the downline that subscribes to LTD and pays a monthly subscription. And with LTD, the higher you go in Amway ranks, the more LTD will pay you off of your downline that subscribes to LTD. And specifically, you'll get percentage payouts based off of your downline that subscribes to LTD, and that percentage payout will be based solely off of lay winner's discretion, because when it comes to LTD tool income, it's discretion income. It's discretionary and it's based off of lay winner's discretion. Um, but overall, high level ranks that are part of LTD, high level Amway ranks that are part of LTD, they receive income from every LTD event. And that includes night owls, which is the meeting after the meeting, where typically after a meeting, like an info session, for example, or a team meeting, there'd be like a night owl. It takes place usually at a restaurant after hours, after it's closed, and you'll have to pay admission to attend that meeting after the meeting. Like for example, we would have like a night owl after an info session here in Ankeny, Iowa, and that was usually at a restaurant that was closed, like PF Chang's in Des Moines now, and like you had to pay a ticket to attend, to get a plate of food, and then the high level ranks or the higher ups would speak to you and do like a motivational training, past midnight to you. But you had to pay money like $20 or so, roughly, to attend that night owl, which is the meeting after the meeting. Platinums and above, if you didn't know this, platinums and above do get paid from the night owls. Part of that money is used towards renting out the restaurant that's closed after hours, like a PF Chang's, but a majority of that's left over, and that's split with the platinums and above. Same thing goes with the jam sessions, where a high level Amway rank person, a part of LTD, will travel out to a different state, and then like in that state, you would have people that live locally there attend that motivational seminar for like a day that would take place. That's a jam session. Um, Platinums and above, receive income from that as well, because they charge admission fees to go to a jam session as well. And the same thing goes for, they call it attitude sessions. It's the same thing as a jam session. A high level Amway rank person or a part of LTD is going to attend a state somewhere out, and people that live locally in that area, they're going to attend that motivational seminar for a day or so and pay admission to attend seeing that high level person, rank person, talk and motivate, whatever. Platinums and above, they receive income from that. And so um, the attendees that attend, a jam session or an attitude session, They pay money and they get a ticket they get a ticket, in exchange for attending and paying admission fee. But the platinums and above receive income from that. Same with the night owls, as I mentioned before previously. You pay money and you get a ticket. Um, you get a ticket, and then the platinums and above, they secretly profit from those night owl meetings. And the jam sessions and the attitude sessions, and same thing goes with the freedom parties. The freedom parties, that's where a high level Amway rank person will quit their job, and they'll celebrate by hosting a party, a retirement party, and you had to pay money to attend, and you would get a ticket, and it was all cash payments, by the way. Like everything I'm talking about is cash payments. Like a freedom party, it was a cash payment, and you get a ticket to attend that retirement party or freedom party, what they call it. It's a retirement party, but they call it a freedom party. Um, Platinums and above, they get paid from each and every single freedom/retirement party where an Amway high level rank person quits their job. And for those kinds of events, you pay in cash and you get a ticket, and the platinums and above secretly profit from that and take that money as income. And the same thing goes for the jam sessions, attitude sessions, and night owls. Those are all cash payments. And then along with that, LTD has weekly meetings called the info session, which I mentioned before, cash payments, and monthly meetings, cash payments as well. Platinums and above get paid from that. And then, you know, conferences 4 times a year. Emeralds and above that have 6 legs minimum, 6 recruits, get paid from that as well. And overall, all these LTD events, they all have different names, but they all have the same money flow. And each and every single one of the attendees that attend all these events, which are low level ranks that are part of LTD, low level Amway ranks that are part of LTD, they're all told a lie that their admission fees are only just used solely and only for rental cost to rent out a venue, a space, a conference room, a stadium, arena, you name it, for every LTD event, every single one. That's what they claim. But that's actually a lie, because according to the LTD contract, the LTD BSM compensation contract, it states otherwise. It overall states that LTD higher ups, or in other words, high level ranks that are part of LTD, they receive a source of income from every single LTD event, every single LTD event. That's all in the contract. So that was all a lie, and they deliberately did that on purpose, just to conceal that income from the low level ranks that are part of LTD from ever knowing what actually happens to their admission fees once they pay to attend any LTD event. So, because the higher ups receive a source of income from every LTD event, that makes all these events a for profit event. Every single LTD event is a for profit event where higher ups that are part of LTD receive a source of income from every single LTD event. It is a for profit event. Every single LTD event is a for profit event. That means that the admission fees that LTD members pay to attend any LTD event, since those admission fees are specifically a source of income for higher ups, that makes that admission fee taxable income. That means that when it comes to every LTD event, LTD is legally required to charge sales tax to all their attendees um, that attend an LTD event, any LTD event, and they're supposed to collect and remit that to the state that they're holding an LTD event at, any state that they're holding an LTD event at. However, if you look at your receipts, if you're a part of LTD currently, or if you've been a part of LTD in the past, there's no sales tax charged to you. There's zero sales tax charge to you. Um, and that's illegal because technically LTD is supposed to charge you sales tax. So that means that the price that you paid to attend any LTD event, that price was supposed to be more expensive. It was supposed to be higher, specifically because there was supposed to be a sales tax, an additional um, charge to you, and that charge was supposed to be a sales tax. They were supposed to charge that sales tax to you, and then give that back to the state that they're holding an LTD event at, because that sales tax is for the state, specifically that LTD holds an event at. So, for example, an LTD info session in Iowa that costs $5 here to attend weekly. That's just one little mini example. But with that example, that's supposed to cost more to attend an LTD weekly info session. It's supposed to cost specifically $5.30. It's supposed to cost $5.30. The reason why is because Iowa charges 6% specifically for um, sales tax. So that 6% was supposed to be added on top of the info session price to attend an LTD info session here in Iowa. So technically, it was supposed to cost $5.30 to attend an LTD weekly info session, and that 30 cents was supposed to be collected from every attendee that paid to attend an LTD info session here in Iowa, and it was supposed to then be remitted to the state of Iowa, because that 30 cents is specifically for Iowa. That 6% is for Iowa, so that the sales tax is supposed to go to the state. And in this case, it's supposed to go to Iowa. So that's a mini example, but overall, LTD is required to charge sales tax to all their attendees, and their attendees are supposed to, and then from there, they're supposed to then collect that and remit that to the state that LTD is holding an event at. However, LTD deliberately does not collect and remit sales tax to the state that they're holding an LTD event at, and you can see that clearly from all the receipts if you are a member of LTD, or if you are a former member of LTD. There's no sales tax charged to you. And I have spoken with some former high level reps that are part of LTD, and they've told me that LTD does not collect and remit sales tax for all their events. So it's, I was told it's basically just lunch money, where they're just taking that money as profit. The higher ups at private LTD, they're taking all that admission fee as a profit, and then they're not collecting and remitting sales tax to the state. And so, through doing this, through LTD deliberately deciding not to charge sales tax to all their attendees that attend every LTD event, where higher ups receive a source of income from every LTD event, the failure to not charge sales tax is state level tax evasion committed by LTD. And this is happening with every LTD event. And LTD hosts several events all over the US. And with all those events, with every LTD event, they are not charging sales tax to all their attendees. And so that makes LTD guilty of state sales tax evasion nationally. However, LTD and its higher reps or its higher ups, they'll try and, money the waters a little bit, and um, lie and manipulate people into thinking that they are not required to charge sales tax for all their events. But that's actually not true. Um, and some of the things that they'll say to kind of push this lie of saying that, LTD is not required to charge sales tax. Some of these things that they might say is that, LTD is a service. LTD is providing a service with their meetings, training. So, for example, their overall LTD is providing a service when it comes to all their events, all their meetings. They're providing a service when it comes to all their events specifically. And so because of that, they're not required to charge sales tax. That's one thing that maybe, LTD members that are higher ups might say. That's one lie that higher ups that are part of LTD might push. Um, but that's not true. And so this is where the word service comes in. So service, if you're a member of part of LTD currently, or if you are a former member of LTD, you can look up your receipts for every LTD conference that take place 4 times a year. So they'll label those conferences as goods and services for those like receipts for the conferences, LTD conferences. If you look at it, they'll label it as goods and services. And so with that, LTD uplines will say, we're not selling tickets, we're providing a service. And you know what? That does sound good, but it's actually misleading. And here's the simplest way to understand that. A service is something like personal coaching, consulting, one-on-one work. You pay for the work itself. But LTD events are paid to attend. If you don't pay, you don't get in. That means the payment is for access, not a service. Let's apply that to night owls. You pay to attend, higher ups set the price, higher ups control the access, all according to the LTD BSM contract. They control the price, they dictate and set the price for every LTD event, and they control the access for every LTD event. And along with that, higher ups earn income from these systems, even if it's hidden, even if it's undisclosed. And that's all explicitly stated in the LTD BSM competition contract. Same thing goes with jam sessions. Same thing goes with attitude sessions. Same thing goes with freedom parties. They're all different vibes that do not change tax law. And along with that, LTD uplines will love to say that there is no profit, because they love to push that lie that admission fees are only just used for rental cost. However, that's not true. According to the LTD BSM compensation contract, and overall, the word profit is not the test. The word income is actually. So if money flows in and it's controlled and it benefits, higher ups, that is income, and that is exactly what's happening with LTD. Money is flowing in through admission fees to attend any LTD event. It is controlled. LTD dictates it. LTD dictates the admission fee or the price. They dictate the price that they charge to attendees, and overall, it benefits the higher ups, where the higher ups receive a source of income from every LTD event. That overall is income. All right, LTD is not a service. A service is paid for the work itself, but LTD events are paid to attend. You are not paying someone to coach you personally. You are paying to be allowed inside an LTD meeting if you are an attendee for any LTD event. Calling an event a service does not change what's actually happening. Ask yourself, if you're a member in LTD, if I don't pay, can I attend this LTD event? If the answer is no, that means the payment that you pay to attend any LTD event is for access, not a service. Therefore, LTD is not a service. If you pay a personal trainer, that is a service. If you pay to enter a conference hall to hear a speaker, that is admission. That is an admission fee. So LTD trying to push this lie that they're a service and they provide services, it doesn't work in regards to their LTD events. You don't stop it from being admission just by saying the word service in regards to your LTD events. Here's why that matters legally. When a company or an organization like LTD earns income from event fees, those fees are taxable. And obviously, higher ups that are part of LTD receive a source of income from every LTD event. So that makes all those admission fees taxable, not because of the topic, not because of motivation, not because of mindset, but because money is being generated from attendance. And so through LTD not charging sales tax for every single one of LTD's events, that makes all of the income that the higher ups earn from every LTD event untaxed. So all the revenue they made from those admission fees, that means that income was untaxed. And it was supposed to be taxed because they were supposed to collect and remit sales tax to the state that they're holding a meeting at. However, they didn't. That means all that admission fees that the higher ups earned as a profit, all that revenue was untaxed. And so this is where it gets dangerous for low level ranks that are part of LTD. If high level ranks that are part of LTD, they coach their downline, the low level ranks, to use all their LTD receipts that they get from going to LTD meetings. They coach them to use their receipts for their taxes. However, if LTD members use those receipts as business deductions, they're putting themselves liable towards being audited, because those receipts are directly linked to income that was never taxed, because the higher ups don't charge sales tax for any of their LTD events. And that income was also misclassified because the higher ups deliberately and purposefully lie and say that admission fees are only for rental costs when it's actually a source of income for them. And rental cost is tax exempt, but the higher ups are actually earn a profit from every LTD event as a source of income, according to the LTD BSM compensation contract. And so that those receipts are misclassified, and overall those receipts were never taxed. The income, those receipts in regards to the income that was made from those admission fees, that was never taxed, and overall that income was misclassified. And so through using those receipts for taxes, that's going to put all the downline, all the low level ranks that are part of LTD at risk. They'll be at risk of paying penalties. So I know right now we're in tax season right now. That's the reason why I'm making this episode. Um, I warn every current member that's a part of LTD not to use their LTD receipts for their taxes. If you use untaxed LTD event receipts as business expenses, you're the one taking the risk. Not your upline, not LTD, you. You are at risk of being audited. However, if you've already used these receipts, don't panic. Talk to a licensed CPA that can help you. Fixing things early is always safer. So it's better to just deal with this on the front end early on and just talk to a CPA and see um, what the best advice would be to take. And along with that, if you are currently in LTD or you are looking to be a part of LTD and you're in the interview process or the vetting process, this self-created 7 to 9 meeting interview process, I would encourage you to ask your upline/recruiter for a profit and loss balance sheet detailing both their Amway distributor account and their LTD distributor account. The reason why is because every LTD upline, every single one of them, they're gonna come off as being this expert, this financial expert, with authority over you, because like they're gonna just be all pious and just braggadocious about, like, hey, I have this opportunity to help you become financially independent and wealthy and all this stuff, and I'm an expert financially, listen to me. They're going to place themselves as an authority over you and into making you believe, into thinking that these people know what they're doing. I need to trust them and follow them and listen to every word that they say, because they have experience and all this stuff. And they're going to come off of this authority figure over you. And if you're going to place your life on these type of people, and have them dictate your life because you trust their guidance into helping you build, financial independence and wealth. I've been there. One thing I should have done, and one thing I try and warn others if they're a part of it or they're trying to be a part of it, is to ask for a profit and loss balance sheet over both their LTD and Amway distributor accounts. It's going to be very, very telling, because if they're not profitable, if they're at a financial loss, why should you listen to them? Why should you listen to them, towards anything? Like, why should you follow their advice if they themselves are not profitable towards what they're claiming to you that they can help you become, wealthy? And if they're themselves are actually at a financial loss. It's very telling. So I mean, if you're gonna really go all in on this thing and devote yourself to these people and this opportunity, you know you you better ask for a profit and loss balance sheet, just so that the people that you're following, do they actually have what you want? Because they'll say you can't teach something that you've never done before. You can't teach something that you've never done before. So if they're at a financial loss, how can they teach you to become financially profitable in their opportunity that they're a part in, if they're actually at a financial loss? How can they help you become profitable if they're at a financial loss? So profit and loss balance sheet is very, very telling. It's so telling that's why higher ups are terrified of disclosing a profit and loss balance statement. They're afraid. So you'll actually get pushback from some people like, Kevin Schweers, Amelia Schweers. If you ask them for a profit and loss balance sheet, they'll give you a pushback and say, hey, we don't need to, we don't need to show you a profit and loss balance sheet, and they'll just have some sort of BS jargon, and every single one of their platinums and above that are part of the Schweers team, the Kevin Miller Schweers team, they'll all, push back and, overall refuse to not show a profit loss balance sheet. I know because there was one time a anonymous Instagram profile like commented on my content on Instagram, and it was anonymous, but I can tell from the writing that was Kevin Schweers, because he was commenting on a post that I was talking about his team, specifically his sixth leg. His sixth leg that made him, qualify for his fake diamond ship. So that fake diamond ship and the stuff that they did to manipulate volume within the sixth group to overall cheat their way to diamond illegally. I've gone over that before. I can tell that anonymous account was actually Kevin's writing. I know how he writes and how he talks because I've been around that asshole for 6 years. So I know that was him. And he was just, and he's not even man enough to admit that, but I know that was him. And so he was, in fact, I'll even challenge that in court too. So I mean, if he's, I know Kevin's listening to this right now. So I'll challenge this in court too. So if Kevin wants to challenge me on this and say I'm defaming him for saying that, he commented on my Instagram, well, I'll pull up that fake account in court and then we'll see if that was you or not and track it. If you want to challenge that. But anyway, so Kevin was just saying that, hey, we don't need to show profit loss balance sheets and like yada yada yada. I forgot what else he was saying, but it's something around those lines. But overall, they just fear showing profit loss balance sheets just because it's going to show that, either A, they're fraud because they're at a financial loss, or because they're actually making more money from a completely different system, company, different than Amway. Even though they're promoting a lifestyle from Amway, that particular lifestyle is coming from a different company called LTD for some of the higher ups, and they don't want to review that because it's going to show them as fraud, because like you're leading people into believing that they can have a lifestyle from Amway when that lifestyle is coming from a different company, LTD, and we're not even disclosed how LTD works, in regards to its competition plan. So, overall, higher ups are terrified of showing profit and loss balance statements because overall, if you saw the numbers, you'd see something uncomfortable. Overall, many higher ups that are part of LTD earn more income from LTD than they do from Amway. They sell you a lifestyle and tell you it comes from Amway, but in reality, that lifestyle comes from LTD. Specifically, some of the higher ups earn 80% of their income from LTD and 20% from Amway. So overall, that lifestyle, financial wealth, it comes from LTD. The events, the tools, systems, meetings, subscriptions, it's all from LTD, mostly. That's why they don't want you to ask for a profit loss balance sheet. And along with that, here's the part that no one talks about. Some higher ups are actually at a financial loss. If they showed a real profit and loss balance sheet, a P&L, it would expose debt, losses, and dependence on downline money if they were to actually show a profit loss balance sheet detailing both their LTD and Amway distributor accounts, both. Overall, this transparency would destroy the image, so to speak. Lastly, if you are part of LTD currently, any team a part of LTD, I would encourage you not to follow your upline instructions to fall support customer sales monthly through VCS. Do not let anyone pressure you to misreport Amway customer sales through VCS. I experienced this through the Kevin Miller Schweer's team. They coached their downline to fall support customer sales through the Amway VCS verified customer sales feature every single month. And overall, that same practice is happening all across the board in regards to LTD. The entire LTD team is having all of the LTD high level recruits coach the downline, all the downline to fall support customer sales to the Amway VCS feature, customer sales. And that is illegal. Specifically, that is a felony. Actually, it's called conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud is basically one or two more people. It's basically two or more people coordinated plan to commit fraud through a fraudulent scheme by using the internet to overall earn a profit, even if they actually don't succeed in actually attaining that profit. If there was overall an attempt with two or more people to devise a plan to commit fraud through a scheme by using the internet, that's conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Even if they actually don't, even if they actually don't succeed in attaining that money, if there was overall an attempt to attain that money illegally through using the internet, that's overall conspiracy to commit wire fraud. And so when it comes to LTD, they are committing conspiracy to commit wire fraud because, all the LTD uplines are conspiring together to coach all their downline to fall support customer sales through the Amway VCS feature online via the internet in order to earn a profit from their downline, to earn Amway income from their downline every month. Because if if you're an Amway IBO and you have a downline, if your downline does not report customer sales of a minimum of 60% verified customer sales every single month, you will not get paid off your downline if your downline does not report customer sales of a minimum of 60% verified customer sales. It just means that if your downline does not meet a minimum sales quota and sell products for a minimum amount of a quota every month, you will not get paid off your downline. You will receive zero Amway income from your downline. And so that's why all the LTD uplines coach their downline to fall support customer sales in order to ensure that they get paid off their downline Amway income every month. That's why there's a pressure, and overall, that's why LTD is overall coaching their downline to fall support customer sales every single month fraudulently. But that is illegal. That is a felony, actually. That is a wire fraud, and the upline coaching the downline to do that, all the LTD upline conspiring to do that is a felony called conspiracy to commit wire fraud. So overall, do not false support customer sales. Don't be using fake phone numbers or don't be using random phone numbers from a phone book or random contacts. Like, just if you're gonna be part of this thing, make Amway sales legitimately. Don't false report customer sales, because if you get caught, that is illegal and that is a felony. False reporting customer sales through the internet is a felony. Wire fraud. So do not listen to your upline when they tell you to false report customer sales monthly, because overall, following instructions does not protect you if the instructions are wrong and illegal and a felony. So, in closing, if an organization earns income from events and does not charge sales tax, that is reportable to state revenue authorities. This is not hate. This is not rebellion. It's understanding the rules before the rules understand you. If a system only works when people stay confused, the confusion is the product. And hopefully today I was able to clear up some of that confusion, so LTD cannot manipulate as easy. So with that, if you are a former member of LTD in the past, I would encourage you to even actually, if you're a former member and a current member of LTD, I would encourage you to report LTD to your local state Department of Revenue for tax fraud, because LTD is required to charge sales tax to all their attendees for all their LTD events. But LTD is deliberately deciding not to charge sales tax to all their events on purpose. So I would encourage you to report LTD to your local state Department of Revenue for LTD committing state level sales tax evasion, for not collecting and remitting sales tax to the state that they hold a meeting at. Nothing I explained today required opinions. Nothing required interpretation. Nothing required loyalty. It required contracts, numbers, and honesty. If LTD events were truly just reimbursement, the math would prove it. If higher ups weren't earning income, the paperwork would show it. If everything was clean, transparency wouldn't be feared. But instead, you were told not to ask, not to question, and not to look closely. That's not leadership, that's control. And here's the part you need to remember. When something goes wrong, when taxes are owed, when audits happen, when penalties show up, your upline will not be there. You will. This episode wasn't about tearing anything down, and it wasn't about giving you, it was about giving you the information you were never supposed to have. Because real freedom doesn't come from hype, it comes from understanding. And if a system only works when people are confused and stay confused, then confusion was never an accident. And so that is all I have for today, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.